Good morning, students. Today we will learn about the chapter The Black Spot. The Black Spot chapter, it belongs to Treasure Island, which is written by R.L. Stevenson. So, if we have to read this chapter, it is very much important that we should know something about the Treasure Island. Then we can understand the chapter completely. So here I go with the first sentence of the chapter. My poor father died quite suddenly that evening. So here the author is telling us that his father died suddenly, which put all other matters on one side. Means he forgot every other thing because that was a great tragedy. Our natural distress, the visits of the neighbors, the arranging of the funeral, and all the work of the inn to be carried on in the meanwhile kept me so busy that I scarcely had time to think of the captain, far less to be afraid of him. He was very much afraid of the captain with whom he was living, but his father had died, and neighbors were coming, and he was busy in arranging the things for funeral. So in all these things he had simply forgotten about the captain with whom he was living. Otherwise he was very much afraid of the captain. So here comes the end of the first paragraph. Moving on to second paragraph. He got downstairs next morning and had his meals as usual, though he ate little. Here we are not talking about his father, we are talking about, about the captain. He got downstairs next morning and had his meals as usual, though he ate little. So he came next morning downstairs, he ate something, but a little bit. Singing was his favorite pastime. Here he is describing the captain that his favorite pastime was singing. No one dared to cross him when he burst into a song. Means he had such a, personality that no one could dare, to come in between when he was singing. On the night before the funeral, he was singing his ugly old sea songs because he was a captain, so he always used to be in the ship. So he used to sing old sea songs, right? It was shocking to hear those songs, and he was quite shocked, the author, the narrator, to hear those songs. But he had grown very weak after the stroke. So he had suffered from a stroke. So after that he had grown very weak, and nobody messed with him. And now nobody bothered that what he is doing, how he is singing. No one bothered because he had suffered from a stroke. We were all in the fear of death for him. But we were all afraid that any time anything can happen to him. And the doctor was suddenly taken up with a case many miles away. And where they were living, the doctor was, he was living far away. So it would take miles, to reach to the doctor, and then doctor will come and then he will take care of him. So this way no one used to say anything to him. So it is the end of the second paragraph. Moving on to third paragraph. The captain continued to grow weaker. Now he was growing weaker and weaker. He clambered up and down the stairs, walked to the parlor and back again. So what he used to do, sometimes he was going up on the stairs and sometimes down, sometimes going to the parlor and sometimes coming back, and sometimes put his nose out of the doors to smell the sea, because he was not physically fit. So he was not going to the sea. He used to open the door and he used to smell the sea, holding on to the walls for support as he went, and breathing hard and fast like a man on a steep mountain. Means physically he was so weak that he was not going outside to to just enjoy the sea. No, he was holding onto the walls, for support. He was physically so weak that he used to hold the wall for moving as he went and breathing hard and fast. And he used to breathe very hard and fast also, like a man on a steep mountain, as if a man is moving on a steep mountain. The man starts breathing hard. In the same way, he used to breathe when he was normally walking. Moving on to fourth paragraph. He never particularly addressed me. He never addressed me particularly means his temper was more flighty, very much full of fluctuation, and more violent than ever. So, and he was very, very violent. He was very, very aggressive also. And now he drew his katas very alarmingly. He used to keep his, little sword bare near on his table, so that if anyone will come, then he can attack on the person and keep it bare before him on the table. So as I have told you, so he used to keep one small sword and without the cover on his table, right? Moving on to the same, we are continuing the same paragraph. But with all that, he minded people less and seemed shut up in his own thoughts and rather wandering. Means he was not interested to talk to someone, right? He minded people less and seemed shut up in his own thoughts. He used to, move in his own thoughts and rather wandering. Rather, he was just, you can say, wandering means going here and there. So, in his thoughts, he was moving here and there. He did not bother who is speaking, what he is speaking. He was not at all interested. Once, for instance, to our extreme wonder, he piped up to a different air, a kind of country love song. Sometimes, he used to surprise us. We used to, get surprised by his attitude, by his behavior. A kind of country love song. He was reciting a love song which was not expected from him, because he was not, that kind of a person, that he must have learned in his youth before he had begun to follow the sea. Means before he became the captain of the sea, maybe he had learned that song in those days. That's the end of the fourth paragraph. Moving on to fifth paragraph. So things passed until the day after the funeral, and about 3 o'clock of a bitter, foggy, frosty afternoon, I was standing at the door for a moment. So the sentence is quite long, so I would pause here and I would explain. So things passed. So all the things were going on like that. And the day after the funeral, when there was the funeral of the narrator's father, after that day, about 3 o'clock of a bitter, foggy, frosty afternoon, it was a very cold day. So all these words are explaining us that it was a very, very cold day. I was standing at the door for a moment. So the narrator was quite sad, because just now, he had lost his father. So he was quite sad and he was standing at the door, full of sad thoughts about my father. Naturally, he was thinking about his passed away father, when I saw someone drawing slowly near along the road. Then suddenly he saw that someone is coming near to him along the road. He was plainly blind, for he tapped before him with a stick and wore a great green shade over his eyes and nose, and he was hunched. Hunched means he was, you can say, his top part of his body had bent forward, and his shoulders and back, they were raised very high, like this. His body, his physique was looking like that. So he saw that a blind man is coming, and he's stepping, the road with his stick, and he wore a great green shade over his eyes. He was wearing a shade, you can say, some cap or something, and nose was also covered, and eyes were also covered, and he was hunched. His physique was like that only, as I have explained, as if with age or weakness, and wore a huge old tattered sea clock. Maybe he was looking weak because of age, right? So, and wore a huge old tattered means worn out, means which was about to, that cloth was in a very, very bad condition with a hood. The sea cloak had a hood also, and that made him appear positively deformed, and that particularly showed that his body was not proper. He was looking as if his body is deformed. He was not in a proper position, right? Moving on to next page now. I never saw in my life a more dreadful looking figure. Means narrator is saying that he was so dreadful that I was scared of him. He stopped a little away from the inn where this narrator and the captain, they were staying in the inn. So he stopped little away from the inn, and raising his voice in an odd sing song, he raised his voice. He spoke something, in a very odd sing song way, in an old way, addressed the air. He means he did not know that who is standing there, so he addressed in the air in front of him. Will any kind friend inform a poor blind man who has lost the precious sight of his eyes in the gracious defense of his native country, England, and God bless King George, where or in what part of this country he may now be. So these are all the sentences that he uttered. He was asking for a help. He was saying that can someone help him? Whom someone can help? The person he was describing himself, that who has lost the precious sight of his eyes. How? In the gracious defense, जिसने अपनी country England को, in fighting for England, he lost his eyes. And God bless King George, and he blesses the King of England. And what part of his country, this country he may now be, and wherever the king is, he may live long, as in Hindi we say Maharaj ki jai ho, sort of that. You are at the Admiral Benbow, Black Hill Cove, my good man, said I. The narrator was quite innocent, so he said, sir, you are at the Admiral Benbow, Black Hill Cove, so how can I help you? I hear a voice, said he, a young voice. By listening only, he understands, because he was a blind man. So he understands by the voice that the voice is of a young man. Will you give me your hand, my kind young friend, and lead me in? So he asked him that, would you please hold my hand, young man, and lead me in? I want to go to the inn. I held out my hand. He just offered his hand. And the horrible, soft-spoken, eyeless creature gripped it in a moment like a vice. He gripped his hand, as if he was not a nice man. So he gripped it so hard. I was so much startled. The narrator was quite surprised that I struggled to withdraw. Means this blind man's this grip was so tight that he was struggling. Narrator was struggling to withdraw. He wanted to just take his hand back, but the blind man pulled me close up to him. He dragged him near to himself with a single action of his arm. He just, with a single hand. He was so strong. He wanted to say, the narrator wants to tell us that he was so strong that with a single arm he just did all this. Now boy, he said, take me in to the captain. मुझे captain के पास लेकर जाओ. He said this. Sir, said I, upon my word I dare not. He said, upon my word I dare not. How can I take you? Oh, he sneered. That's it. Take me in straight or I will break your arm. So he threatens him. So he says, you will take me in or I should break your arm. So he simply, threatened him. And he gave it as he spoke. And he not only spoke, he actually gave him a wrench that made me cried out. He just broke his arm so badly that the narrator cried out like anything. Then, last paragraph of this page, sir, said I, it is for yourself. I mean, the captain is not what he used to be. He says, sir, I am saying for your help only, because you must be knowing the old captain, but the captain is not like that now. He has totally changed. What he used to be in his, in his youth, he is not like that. He sits with a drawn katass. He sits on his, table and chair, and there he keeps a bare sword. So another gentleman, he says, now he is not like that, whom you met many years back. Coming to the next page now, first paragraph, page number 102. Come, now march, he interrupted. He did not allow the narrator to speak. He simply said, go, come on, take me to the inn. He was threatening him, and I never heard a voice so cruel and cold and ugly as that blind man's. So the narrator says, I had never heard such a bad voice, It cowed me more than the pain. He simply, he was suffering from pain, but he was ready to submit. He was ready to just surrender, and I began to obey him at once. So he started obeying him because he was very much frightened by the voice of the that old man, blind man. So walking straight in at the door and towards the parlor where our sick old captain was sitting, right? So he says, walking straight in at the door and towards the parlor. So they were moving towards the parlor where our sick old captain was sitting. So where did they go? They went to the old captain where he was sitting. That's all. Here I put a pause. Next I will explain in my next video. Thank you, viewers.